In this video lecture, we are going to see about 8086 pin configuration, which is nothing but the 8086 signals. So this is the pinout diagram for 8086 and 8088, and you could see it is uh, equivalently equal. It is almost compatible, and we don't have any bus high enable in the 8088, and this has no meaning with 8088, so it has been eliminated. And here you could see the address lines A0 to A15 and the data lines D0 to D15, which are multiplexed in 8086, and these are labeled as AD0 to AD15. And 8086 processor can be configured in two modes of operation, minimum mode and maximum mode. In the minimum mode, the pin mn/mx is pulled to logic 1, and this will contain a smaller system, or you can say that it will have a standalone system, a single microprocessor. And this is cheaper since all the control signals for the memory and IO are generated by the microprocessor itself. And coming to the maximum mode, this mn/mx is pulled to logic 0, and this is designed to be interfaced with some other processor, or you have in the maximum mode more than one processor. And these are the signals which are common for which are particular for the minimum mode and particular for the maximum mode. For the minimum mode, you could see hold and hold acknowledgement, write, memory/IO, data transmit receive, data enable, ALE, interrupt acknowledgement. And for the maximum mode, we have request grant lines. Two lines are allocated for it, lock, then status lines S2, S1 and S0, and the queue status lines. So this, as I've already mentioned, mn/max will be connected to VCC in the minimum mode, and it will be connected to the ground in the maximum mode. And the reset operation, so you have when the system is reset, when the processor is reset, all the flags will be cleared. Instruction pointer will point to 0000, and the code segment will point to FFFFF, and the remaining segments will point to 0000, and the queue will be empty. And coming to the functions of A17 and A16, which is multiplexed with S4 and S3. So this will tell you exactly what segment is in access. So if it is a combination of 00, then we have extra segment access. Similarly, 01 stack segment, 10 code segment, and 11 data segment access. And coming to the address line A19 and A18, which is multiplexed with the status lines S6 and S5 respectively. So A18 S5 will tell you the status of the interrupt enable flag bit, and it is always enabled at the beginning of each cycle. And A19 S6, this when it is low, this will indicate that 8086 is in control of the bus. And during a hold acknowledge clock period, the 8086 tri-state this S6 pin and will allow the another bus master to take control of the status bus. And this is the status of or the functions of S0, S1 and S2, which are the status signals. And once it is 000 for S2, S1 and S0 respectively, we have interrupt acknowledgement. And if it is 001, it will read the IO port. If it is 010, it will read the IO, write the IO port. And if it is 011, it is halt. And if it is 100, it is accessing the code. If it is 101, it will read the memory. And 110, it will write the memory. And if it is 11 and 1, it is in the passive state. It is not active. And coming to the characteristics of the queue status, which is indicated by QS1 and QS0 here. We have 0 means no operation. If it is 0 1, it is first byte of opcode from the queue. If it is 1 0, it is emptying the queue, and if it is 1 1, it is the subsequent byte from the queue. And coming to the read-write control signals, we have three signals combined, which is IO slash memory bar, then data transmit receive, and this SS0, that is your status. This will tell you, this table will tell you the various functions like code access, whether you are reading the memory, writing the memory, or it is passive, whether it is an interrupt acknowledgement, which is reading the IO port or writing the IO port, or it is the halt, which is actually prescribed, which is taken from the previous tables. And interrupt, we have two interrupt pins over here. So which is INTR, which is used to request a hardware interrupt, and it is recognized by the processor only when this interrupt pin is 1, otherwise it is ignored, and this is normally set by the set interrupt instruction. And the request on this line can be disabled by masking or making IFS equal to 0 or using the clear interrupt instruction. So if INTR becomes high and if interrupt flag is 1, then the 86 enters an interrupt acknowledgement signal. INTA will become active after the current instruction has been executed. And the other interrupt pin we have is non-maskable interrupt line. So here the non-maskable interrupt is similar to INTR, except that it does not check to see if this flag bit is at logic 1 or not. This interrupt cannot be masked, it cannot be disabled, and it doesn't require any acknowledgement. And this should be reserved for certain catastrophic situations like power failure. Coming to the test input, so here this is an input which is tested by the wait instruction. If it is at logic 0, then the wait instruction will function as no operation. If it is at logic 1, then the wait instruction will make the 8086 to remain idle until the test input becomes a logic 0. This pin is normally driven by 8087 coprocessor, and this prevents the CPU from accessing a memory which results before the NDP has finished its calculation. Coming to the ready input, which is preferably used by the slow devices, and this is used for inserting the wait states into the processor bus cycle. So if the ready pin is placed at logic 0 level, then the microprocessor will enter into its wait states and remains idle. If it is placed at logic 1 level, it has no effect on the operation of the processor. And this is sampled at the end of every second key state of the clock pulse. And as I told you, this is driven by a slow memory device. And we have signals, which is a hold, which is an input signal, and this is used by DMA controller to request a direct memory access operation. If the hold signal is at logic 1, the microprocessor will place its address, data, and control bus at its high impedance state. If the hold pin is at logic 0, the microprocessor will work normally. So once this pin is raised, so it can perform the DMA, direct memory access, which means that the processor will hand over its buses to the memory, and the transfer of data between the processor memory and the external memory will be activated. So hold acknowledgement, this is an acknowledgement signal for the hold signal. So this is made high to indicate that DMA controller is in process, and it can take over the system bus for the DMA operation. That's what I mentioned in the previous slide. Thank you.